Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. I'm your co-host for today, Mike Bailey, along with Ellen DePlacido. Ellen, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
Hey, today we're going to jump off the Japanese beetles, okay, at least
Okay.
momentarily, okay, and go on with the northern masked Chafer beetle, which is another beetle that makes its appearance about the same time as the Japanese beetle. And we're going to give you a little bit of a description, etc. But before we do that, I wanted to say one big difference between the Japanese beetle and this Chafer beetle is that the Chafer beetles, the adults do not feed. All
hmm
the damage is done by the larva. So, and
hmm
we'll circle back to that too. But what about a description of this beetle? Okay, Ellen.
Okay. All right. Well, their size is just a little bit bigger than a Japanese beetle, and their color ranges from light to dark tan with some dark brown to blackish markings on their heads. They're most noticeable at dusk when they start flying around your outdoor lights. And they're only around about a month, usually during July. So probably be seeing them very soon.
You're
You want to talk about their life cycle,
Yeah,
Mike?
absolutely. And
Okay.
basically, what happens there is that the um, adults emerge, okay, right around
hmm
the first part of July, right around this time of year, okay. And basically what they do is they mate and lay eggs and die, okay.
hmm
And
hmm
the eggs are laid, in the soil, okay, below the turf, okay, and they hatch in 2 or 3 weeks, depending upon the temperature and other conditions. And the larvae are grub, feed on those plant roots, primarily your grasses, okay, and they
hmm
develop over 3 different stages. Remember, I think the Japanese beetle had about 7 different instar stages to it.
Right.
And then
Hmm
when fall approaches, okay, they burrow down about 8 to 12 inches, okay, as the temperatures cool. And they'll resurface in the spring. They'll feed a little bit more, then they'll pupate, and then they emerge as adults, again, this time of year. So in the control, since the adult Chafer beetle does not feed, you, you don't have a very reasonable chance of controlling the beetle at the adult stage at all. All your
Right.
efforts really need to be directed at the larva or the grub stage of development. And this just happens to be almost identical to the control of the Japanese beetle larva. And in fact, most commercial products don't differentiate between a Chafer beetle and a Japanese beetle larva. They all treat them all as just grubs, period.
hmm Right.
So,
Okay.
you know, Ellen, where do we start with that control process?
Well, we start with something that's very difficult for most of us, especially me, and that's to let your lawn dry out at the egg laying stage and the early larva stage. Don't water your lawn. And cut your lawn at a high setting, because the larger grass plants have a larger root system and they'll be more able to sustain damage before the turf takes a hit from the grubs. So you're right that the larvae are still there, but the grass looks better, and most times that's what drives grub control is when your grass starts looking bad.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
another thing you might want to do is change your outdoor lights to sodium vapor or yellow lights, and that reduces the attraction to these Chafer beetles. Some biological controls are your milky spore, and I'll testify that that really does not work. I tried it. Nematodes can work under ideal conditions if you follow the directions very closely. And your BT Galleria, we've talked about several times, and it's about 75% or 70% control if you use it at the first and second instar stage. And some commercial brands are your Gardens Alive Grub Halt, if you look for those in your garden center.
Yeah, well, Ellen, if I can just add, those are probably not in your garden center. You
Okay.
probably need to go online and look up
Okay.
Gardens Alive, which is a
Oh,
manufacturer,
okay.
and their
Okay.
product is the Grub Halt.
Grub
Okay,
Halt.
I'm the
Okay.
I'm the one that gets that flyer here at home, so I
Oh,
know
okay.
about
You
that.
know.
Okay,
Okay. All right.
but as far as the chemical control, the insecticides really, like I said before, don't differentiate between a chafer and a Japanese beetle grub. It's really the same line of chemicals. You know, uh, in fact, the insecticide lawn treatment bags, okay, treat them all as grubs. Period. They don't even talk
Mhm.
about the
Mhm.
different things. Um, you know, you got to keep in mind that the different insecticides are effective at different stages of grub development. There's three different approaches. There's the preventive, okay, which is used at an egg laying or initial hatch stage. There's a curative, which is most effective at the early stage of the development of these larvae. And then there's the rescue stage, which is effective at the latter stage of development. The literature talks, about these different compounds at these different stages, and there is some overlap, but but for the most part, it's about 80%, in line, that there's a pretty clear cutoff between one stage and another. In preparation for this talk, and in fact, we're kind of doing it over a little bit. I decided to go to the store, okay, and I took my literature that I had, okay, that my outline of this talk, for the preventive, the curative, and the rescue drugs, or chemicals. Excuse me, my healthcare background is showing its presence, okay.
Yes.
And I decided to go to the store, okay, and take a look at the bags of lawn
Products.
Grub-X products, okay, to see if there was any kind of correlation between the literature and the retail products along the lines of when to apply these products. And for the most part, I was kind of disappointed. After a lot of searching and really squinting at that small font on those bags, I did not see. I did see some, matching at the preventive stage with a few of the products when it came to the use of imidacloprid, okay?
Okay.
Imidacloprid, imidacloprid, and the chlorantranolol, okay? And I'll spell that also, CHLORANTRANILIPROLE. But I didn't see any matching, at the other stages. What does this kind of mean? I'm not really sure, but maybe the literature just hasn't kept up with the recent developments of products.
Yeah,
okay,
it's true.
So it was a real challenge to read products, the information on the back of these bags, and come up with some kind of a determination of exactly which one I should use and when to apply it. But you do need to read those directions. Okay, maybe I didn't take enough time, to go through it very thoroughly. Okay, there's a lot of information there, but hopefully these lawn care companies, certainly understand this science, and would, and a lot of people use those companies, okay, to treat their lawn. So hopefully, they have the science down well. So, Ellen, I think we've used our time for today, but I hope that kind of gives you some kind of direction. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not as clear cut as I'd like to see it, but it is there. But certainly, these lawn care companies would probably be a good resource for you if you got a severe problem at home. So thank you for listening.
See you again.